Are you saying you faked with me?
Yeah.
Wrong. Now you're single.
What do you know about sexual relations?
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
You're listening to the Come With Us podcast, talking the good, the kinky, and the ugly. Here are your hosts, Beth, Aaron, and Tina.
Hello, 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 all you sexy holes and poles. Welcome to Come With Us podcast, where we've got everything men want to know about love, sex, and relationships. I'm Beth Darling from BethDarling.com, here with Tina and Aaron. Hey, sexy stuff matters just as much as the lovey-dovey stuff, and that's why we're here to help you get all the pleasure you deserve. All right, so today, though, we're not talking about a whole lot of pleasure. Well, at least not on the female side of it. So, Aaron and Tina, I want to share something. I haven't said a word yet because I wanted to do it with y'all here. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. I had a really bad experience, and it is still upsetting me. It's very strange. So, I will tell you, I was with a bunch of women, like 9 women, at a resort in Mexico, and we were great, having a great time all by ourselves. It's not like we were going looking for men, but we were celebrating. One of my friends was turning 60. And so we had from 60 something all the way down to 20 something group of women. And there was this one guy, older, I don't know, 75 plus, that different times during the 6 days we were there would come up to us, and he'd stand behind somebody like at dinner, one of the women, and he'd be touching them on the back. And the older women, right, were kind of used to this. So they would just, whatever, put up with it and stuff, didn't try to encourage it, but didn't stop it. One day, we are all sitting around in the lobby, all like 9 of us in different chairs. He is standing behind one woman and doing this, and then he leans down to kiss her, and she just like laughs, like awkwardly. She doesn't know what to do or anything, and then he goes away, and thank God. Then we're still talking. He walks up. My daughter is next to me without her knowing, and she's never said a word to this guy. He comes up behind our chair. He leans his head over her shoulder, and he tries to kiss her neck, or he thinks he's kissing her. I think he's mauling her neck. What the hell do y'all do?
I mean, tell him to fuck off.
I mean,
he's not with the group, right?
He's not with our group. He's with another group.
He's with another
but what
group.
were all the people in his group doing during this? Were they watching from afar? Were they?
I have no idea, because all we were doing was talking to our group. Like, we weren't, again.
But I wouldn't. And as a guy, I'm more confrontational than women are.
He was American.
About this stuff. And I can't put myself in a woman's perspective because I don't know. Like, nobody comes up and just touches me usually without me being okay. Like, there are people who have done it and stuff like that. And I just will back away and be like, dude, why are you touching me? Like, if it's somebody touching me, nobody touches me in a like sexual way without me being acknowledging of it or inviting it, which, okay. So that's, to me, as I'll give you the male perspective, the testosterone fuel perspective is, first, I'm making very obvious to him, what the fuck are you doing? Secondly, I'm looking for his group that he's traveling with and telling them, you guys better come and get your dude, because if not, he's not going to have teeth left when you guys go home. And I don't care if I spend time in Mexican jail. I don't care. Like, he's going to get the beating of a lifetime. Now, I'm also younger. I'm in my mid 30s. If a 70-year-old dude is touching a woman in my group and it's not okay, it's not expected, it's not any of that, yeah, I'll hit an old man. I don't care. But it'd be great fun, just sparring practice. But at the same time, like, there's so many different avenues that my mind is racing through of how you handle that. Because from a woman's perspective, I would expect them to turn around and slap him. That's just the way women I've always hung around with. And I don't know, maybe I hang out with more physically confrontational or women who, I guess, don't take shit. Not saying you guys will put up with shit like that, but like, knowing my sisters, they would literally have already put a handprint on his face the second he touched them. One sister would. The other sister would have played the mental game with him and made him feel about that big and make him literally go looking for a flight home early from his trip because he wouldn't want to be seen anywhere near that resort. But God, so what did y'all do? This is the better question.
Well, hold on. So I'll tell you. But so Tina, what would you do? Like, because I
tell
know.
him to go fuck himself. I'm gonna be like, stop touching me, dude. Like, leave us alone. I mean, it's happened before. Like, I mean, yeah, I've definitely told dudes been in situations where I've had to been like, or was in a group, stop like fucking with us or go away. Like, we told you to leave at a bar or something. Like, can you stop? Like, you're like being like, you're creeping us out. You're creeping my friends out. Like, can you fucking go? Like, leave us alone. Usually I go with leave us alone. Like, standard. Go fuck yourself, but like not in such a controversial, because I feel like you want to start kind of like and be like, just leave us alone. Like, I'd rather not start shit and have that person get the idea of like what you want and then just being like, go fuck yourself and like blah 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 and stuff. And then if they don't, then you fucking, I mean, it's like you're in a group. This shit happens like fucking, it's terrible. Yeah.
Okay, so because I will tell y'all what, but so Aaron, what if some guy comes up to you that you've never met before or anything, or to your buddy or something, and basically makes like they're gonna punch you? What if they're about to punch your partner, your buddy, and you stop their hand? What do you think?
See, there's a lot of variables in this. If it's if I'm hanging out at, like, say I was in kind of the same locale, like I'm at a resort,
right?
Probably all inclusive, drinks are free.
Mm-hmm.
If dude looks drunk off his ass and I'm catching his hand midair, I'm going to easily put him on the ground for a second, not with a fist. I'll wrestle him to the ground and I'll make sure, and I'll, because when you're drunk, I'm not saying that's an excuse, but when you all of a sudden you hit the ground after doing something, that's your wake up call of, oh shit, like that'll sober you up in a hurry. And then I'm asking, okay, what the hell? 1, what were you thinking? 2, how many of you had? 3, you have 2 options. We deal with you or security deals with you. Security is going to walk you back to your room and tell you to sleep it off. We deal with you. You're going to be limping back to your room when everything is all said and done. So it's a very different thing. Like now, if me and a couple of guys me and a couple of buddies are hanging out and some dude just walks up because he thought we looked at him the wrong way, or he's just a hothead and decided to take a swing, then yeah, all bets are off. That's not a, what are you doing? That's a, you're trying to hurt us with malicious intent out of nowhere. Whereas, again, not making an excuse for drunk people, but sometimes drunk people, and I know guys like this. I've been friends with guys like this. They get drunk, and to them, getting into a fight is fun. Not like a life or death fight, but just throwing a couple of punches with guys. And I know plenty of guys on both sides of it. I've been around it a lot. They think that's fun. Okay, cool, that's fun. But you got to make sure the guys you are throwing hands with are okay with it, and they see that as the same type of fun.
Okay, so is it equally okay if they're doing? What if you're in a wheelchair and therefore they're much more physically fit, right? Because you're responding, and this is the difference. As a man, you've got more power, and you're a 6 foot something tall guy. You've got some bulk and youth on your side. But women, we don't necessarily have that, right? There are not very many times where we're going to be the bigger person. And believe me, at this point now, I'm thinking I need to go have some self-defense moves and stuff. But right,
well,
so what if somebody's picking on somebody in your group who's clearly smaller, weaker, less able to physically defend themselves?
I mean, honestly, that's why there's power in numbers. That's why being in a group is the best, especially. And I preach this for a lot of people. Like my little sister just did a whole whirlwind of European international travel by herself, and I was
I know you're pissed.
Vehemently against it because there are strength in numbers. Not saying that she can't handle herself, not saying that women are weak or blah. No, for guys too. Just go spend 2 hours watching Nat Geo or something like that. Guess what? Meerkats, they travel in packs. They travel in numbers. Wildebeest travel in numbers. Yes, there's a lion that can get one of them, but guess what? You know what a really good one is? Go watch the water buffalo, where the lion is trying to pick off the calf, and 3 or 4 female water buffaloes who are probably about 2,000, 3,000 pounds apiece, all wreck that lion. It's a strength in numbers thing. So if I'm in a group, again, it's hard for me to say from a woman's perspective. If I were to imagine myself being a woman in a group of women and some dude starts doing that, the entire group comes together. That's why it's an old stand-up joke, but why do women go to clubs together? Oh, it's so because they don't want to be hit on. They just want to dance. So they dance in their little pack and stuff. And the second some guy tries coming in and starts dancing on them, they just tighten up the pack and they become, more cohesive unit. You kind of, as your hand sits, if everybody's dancing and somebody comes up and they want to get in here, everybody tightens up because you can't get in there anymore. So in a group, your group is always supposed to be there for you, no matter what. Whether you've just met them 3 weeks ago, whether you haven't seen them in 50 years. If you're in a group and nobody in that group is going to take up and have your back, then you need to reevaluate the people you're with.
All right. Well, so I'll tell you what happened. So I was sitting next to my daughter. This guy, I don't see him until the very end. Like he's leaning over, and I exclaim and I stick my hand in the way between his mouth and her neck. So he ends up kissing the back of my hand, which is just disgusting. I'm so, this old man. It's like he's got his mouth open. I'm so fucking pissed. Plus, think about COVID and germs. Oh, and I'm not a germaphobe, but oh my God.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to laugh, but
I know. You have not seen.
Was he drunk?
I don't know. I don't really give a fuck whether he was drunk. He's old enough to know he literally has never said a fucking word to this person. And he has the nerve to come up like that and think there's no part of you. There's no part of any rational being that thinks that this is okay, right? Again, there's no allegation that she's flirting with him. They're not dancing. She's not making eyes at him. There is nothing, right? This is at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening before dinner. So we're all just sitting there and stuff. And so I stick my hand in, I get slobbered on, and then I start kind of yelling and stuff. Like, I don't even know what I said because I was enraged, and I don't have a quick temper or anything like that. But this is my fucking kid. And yes, she's in her 20s and stuff and she's an adult, but this is my fucking kid. And you have no business. There's no doubt. There's no question. You're just fucking wrong. And I'm actually, in hindsight, I am so pissed that I didn't hit him. I'm so pissed at myself that I wasted that opportunity, because I'm still it makes me cry because I feel impotent. Because when I did this, then he stands up and he doesn't apologize. He's looking like, and I stand up to get some size and whatever on him. And I'm like, you've got no business. You don't do that to women. That is not okay. You need to apologize to her right now. He fucking refuses to apologize. He's like, oh, I'm an old man or some bullshit. And then he decides and he starts walking away. And again, I'm pissed that I didn't just run after him and kick the shit out of him, because then I go get security. They do fucking nothing. So, okay. They tell me that they'll go talk to him or whatever. I'm thinking they should kick him out of the hotel. I'm sorry. Who does that? Who allows this behavior to continue? Who allows their guests to be assaulted in public and whatever and not take action? Well, Iberostar. That's who does it. Iberostar. And so then they apparently tell me hours later that, they went and they talked to him. The guy admits that it was, what he did. He just doesn't think it was problematic. Never apologizes. Nothing. In fact, he decides to go back to the bar when we're not there. And that's when the hotel is like, no, sir, you need to go back to your room. So then they sent him back to his room politely. But meanwhile, I'm furious. And I'm thinking, if we as women, if we can't be in a public place, if we can't have safety if what's to stop anybody else? So big deal. So every guy should go up and see if they can get away with this and stuff. Is that really, that's what we're saying?
I mean,
well, also back to your thought of you need to take self-defense class. Every woman should be taking it, period, the end. I don't care if you're an MMA fighter. I don't care what you like. Every woman should know at least basics of self-defense. Not number one, number two. And it's difficult being in a foreign country, but this is why I am 100%. I will never stop defending the Second Amendment. What is the biggest equalizer between a man and a woman? A gun.
No,
Easy.
I wasn't. No.
But listen, hear me out on this.
But I don't want to get into a gun thing. I want to talk about this.
But I'm talking
circumstance.
about carrying some type of self-defense. It doesn't have to be an actual firearm. I've told you this before. I'm on the road all the time for work. I have some type of self-defense weapon on me at all times because I don't know. I'm going to foreign cities that I've never been to. I don't know. Every now and then you find somebody. I've had to, luckily there was a cop there, but there was a homeless dude yelling at me a couple years ago when I was in a different city. And I didn't know what he was doing. He was apparently methed out of his mind. So what I could have done to him would have been painful, but at the same time, you don't know. So not only the self-defense thing, you need to have a way of defending yourself that is going to be an equalizer at some point.
Okay. So I get that, but let's say, so here's the thing. What I found and what I realized is that women, and we were talking, it's not just older women, right? Younger women too. We're so surprised and appalled by this. And yet we don't understand, right? I stopped him from actually kissing her. Great. So now after the fact, do I have the right to beat him up? Does my daughter have the right to slap him afterwards? Or, right, where is that point? Because the problem is, and the reason that the women in my group, they put up with it before because we're taught not to make a scene. And somehow or another, a punch we know is aggression, but some stranger touching your back in front of other people, it's like, oh, like that doesn't feel good to us.
That's still aggression.
But we don't recognize it as aggression because the consequences aren't the same. And so even now where he's leaning into, quote, kiss. Oh, what's a harmless kiss, right? That's not going to, quote, hurt you. Well, no, it's the very fact that I should have the right. I should have sovereignty over my fucking body and be able to be places and assume that if somebody violates my body in that way, or a punch or a kiss or a grab or a fondle, that there are going to be serious consequences. And
there should be. And I mean, your situation is, to me, black and white. Now, I'm going to say that,
what's black and white? What should have happened?
I mean, one of y'all in the group should have slapped him the second he made a move. Before that, when he's touching and fondling, like that was the second he touched somebody who wasn't really talking to him or anything like that earlier in the trip, that should have been at least two of you look at him and go, dude, what are you doing? Why are you touching us? Why are you even here? We didn't invite you over. We don't want to talk to you. And it's not, and I get it. And everybody, and you're saying women are taught not to make a scene. There's certain ways of there's certain things that, I mean, at least I even preach about not making a scene. They forgot my ketchup. Okay, you don't have to make a fucking scene of it. Just wait for 5 seconds. The waitress will be back. You just go, hey, by the way, I ordered a side of ketchup with this. Fine. But anybody touching your personal space when you don't want to, anybody actually touching you
without asking too, I would say.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is that there's different settings and different contexts. If Tina and I are both on a vacation, we don't know each other. We're at a resort. We're at the nightclub at the resort. We're dancing together all night. We've been having drinks together and stuff like that. And I think I'm going to make a move. So I go in for the kiss, and she says, and she doesn't feel in it. Fine. Does that call for screaming and making a giant scene? No, because we already have some type of relationship. We have some type of rapport with each other, even if it's for 30 minutes of dancing. That's when hey, like that's where you throw up the block. But at the same time, if I'm hanging out with a bunch of guys and she's hanging out with a bunch of girls and we're at a resort and I out of nowhere decide I've never talked to her, we've never even, shared an elevator together. Maybe we've made eye contact, and I decide I'm ballsy enough to go up and try to touch or kiss her. Oh yeah, 100%. She should be calling me out like a creep that I am.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, no one should be touching you in public without your consent.
So I thought, and I think part of the reason is, I think I'm upset that I didn't, I kind of let these other women, because they were okay with it and stuff, I didn't want to say something or defend them. And that's the thing. There is this, you're looking around and everybody's waiting to know what everybody else is doing. And so we tend to be a little quiet. And because when we order food and we know we deserve ketchup, right? We know that. But the problem is women, we're not sure what we actually deserve. We're not sure that it's really okay for us to not want anybody to touch us, or that it's okay. But so, I think I'm pissed at myself that I didn't say something sooner and tell that guy to get the fuck away and leave my friends alone. I think I'm kind of upset that my friends also, but I get it, right? So I'm not saying, but just in hindsight, I wish we all had the confidence to be like, I don't want you to touch me. Go away.
So, and this is another thing that I want to go back to. After the first and second interactions with this dude on 2 separate occasions, did y'all talk about it together of what the fuck was that? Did everybody just laugh and ignore it?
We laughed and we're like, oh, he's gross, go away. And in fact, so right before, when he had kissed the woman, 2 chairs from me, that same, 20 minutes before he did this to my daughter, she said something about, oh, whatever. And she blew it off. Right. So that was kind of the problem. She was the one that it happened to there. And she was like, whatever. Cause I was like, that's disgusting. I blah. And she's like, whatever. And she made excuse or something. And so that was part of it. But he'd been there the night before, or 2 nights before to dinner. He had come up and again was handsy with somebody else.
But that's the thing, is that first night that he was doing it, not one person in your group addressed it with each other, even when he was gone.
No, he just said, oh, that's great. It was like, oh, glad he's gone or something. But no, we didn't. Right. We blew it off because in that moment, it's like, oh, big, it was her birthday that night. So people do come up and say, oh, happy birthday. So the fact that he just touched her back while he was doing it, again, didn't necessarily seem overt. It didn't seem threatening in and of itself. It's only now in hindsight where he continues, right? So, this guy, let's say he's 75. This asshole has been doing this for fucking decades and getting away with it because until I went loose. In fact, the other people in my group, when I went just crazy after this thing with my daughter, they were like, oh, it's okay. He's old. He whatever. I don't know. And I was like, no fucking way. I mean, I really did. I ended up calling the police. I wanted him taken out of that fucking hotel. I did not think it was okay for him to stay there. And I still don't. And I'm still full of rage. And I'm, like I said, it's this idea that if I'm with somebody and I can't even protect them, what the hell? In a crowded place where everybody sees what's going on, then what the hell hopes do you have? What if you're walking alone just from the lobby to your fucking room? God knows we did that. We each walked by ourselves. Then it's hopeless. Nobody's there to see it. So what do we do?
I mean, there are men who are just going to be creeps.
Well, but why do we let them? Shouldn't, again,
I don't think
I thought when I proved to a judge that another lawyer was lying, I was like, look, I've proven this. We know that he does it behind, but this is easy.
This isn't going to stop. I don't think the way you respond certainly matters. I would agree with that. But you're not going to stop creepy men at some point. It's not illegal what he. I mean, it is.
It is illegal. It's assault. You don't get to touch somebody. Yeah, you don't get to touch somebody without their consent. No way.
I don't
No
know.
way.
I don't know if that would hold up in a court. Like if you could hold that, I bet.
Well,
I
put
don't
it
know.
this way: the letter of the law is true. Now, whether you get a jury who just says, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal," because again, a punch we think,
I mean,
"Oh, we're
what
going to be
about
hurt."
just
People
touching
think
you
it's
on the back? Is that illegal?
if somebody does it again, people are going to give a pass if they just don't know, because we can say it's social mores or whatever. But no, if you tell somebody to get their hands off, to not touch you, they have no right to touch you.
Right.
And
If you
simply
tell
touching your
someone
back
to
is no.
stop touching you, but if they just come up and touch your back, I don't think that's considered assault.
Well, it is legally. It is unwanted touching. Unconsensual touching is assault, period. So that's absolutely true.
I mean, I don't know.
So-
I don't know. I don't.
But again, I'm not even talking about a criminal conviction. I'm just saying kick him out of the fucking hotel. Or because otherwise what? We're supposed to just walk around and see this guy and whatever and just laugh?
No, I mean, I think it's pretty horrible. But the thing is like, I have been in many different situations in bars where dudes have done very similar things to
Right.
girls like that. I mean, and the difference is that there's maybe perhaps an age, like there's no age difference, not as like seemingly large.
You've been at bars where
And-
dudes try to walk up and kiss you out of nowhere without ever having talked to you?
Yeah, like they come up and like,
Mhm.
you know,
No interaction whatsoever. They just walk up and try to do it.
or they put their hands around you, or they start to like grind on you,
Yeah.
or
Or
like
they touch your hair.
yeah, or
Yes.
like stuff like that, you know.
Yes.
So like, and I've certainly been in situations where I've been talking to someone. I mean, this happened to me like 2 weeks ago with a friend who I was like sitting in the car with, and like, you know, I kind of knew that he was like, you know, whatever, but I blew it off and stuff. And then like out of nowhere, he just like leans over and like starts making out with me. But like, and like you're in a situation where you're just like, okay, like I don't want to be like super rude and stuff. But I like backed up and I was like, oh, well, like, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not looking. But in that situation, I remember talking to a friend of mine afterwards. I was like, she was like, yeah, it's such an awkward situation when that happens. And you're like sitting, you know, like there were lots of people around. It was a busy night. But like, what do? You don't want to like, in your mind, you're thinking like, okay, I don't want to like totally piss this person off. But I was like, I'm sorry. Like, you know, I'm just, and I placated. I was like, oh, I'm just not looking for anything right now. I'm trying to be more like conscious of like my, you know, who and what I do and stuff. And then like, and he was like, arguably we were both drunk and stuff. And he was like, oh no, I totally get it. Like he didn't try and do it again. And was like, I understand. I was like, well, you know, let's just be friends. And he was like, yeah. And was fine and nice. And I ended up like profusely apologizing to him for like not giving, like being like, oh, I'm sorry, like I didn't want to like lead you on, and like I didn't want to this, and like, you know. And he was like, and eventually he was like, just stop apologizing, it's cool, I get it, like just friends. And I was like, okay, why am I apologizing to you?
Why are you
I
worried
understand
about being rude when he like suddenly goes over and starts making out with you, right?
Yeah.
This is the whole thing, is that we've taken this on, and it is not fun. It is not okay. It is, if you think about having kids, right? Like all y'all listening and stuff, like if you've got kids or nieces or sisters or any women, the fact is we have all experienced this sort of shit. And I'm telling you, when it was me, then I was much more likely just to blow it off. I've spent 57 years, you know, blowing shit off.
Yeah, I'm
but
sure
when
it's
it's your
different when you're a
fucking
kid,
you just are like, don't fucking do it. So if we could all start looking and thinking, if this was my kid, what would we want? We need to change things, because this is not okay. It is not okay that even after Me Too, this shit, it goes on and on and on. And that even when you catch it, even when it's the clearest, most obvious case, that it is all one-sided, right? In this instance, in Cancun, there is no doubt. There's nothing my daughter did wrong, no interaction, no fuzziness at all. He leans over and he believes he's entitled to do this openly, brazenly. And in fact, he is, because there are no consequences for it. I find that troubling.
Yeah. I mean, it is troubling. It's hard though. In Mexico, I also know that like, different. Yeah, like
no. This is Iberostar is a Spanish-run company. This is an international hotel chain. So they have power. Hell, they could have just booted him out and sent him to one of their other hotels. There were all sorts of different options.
I mean, have you contacted their actual corporate office since returning?
Well, so I'm trying to figure out what and how to do because I'm not willing to let it go. But they did. The night manager that I spoke to did admit that if this guy had been about to punch someone, he would have been escorted off that property immediately. I said, okay, so protecting a man from a punch, right? That's something you're willing to do, but you're not willing to protect a woman.
Why wouldn't he have punched a woman?
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
but
you're just assuming
men,
that he would try to punch a man. I've seen plenty of women get punched too by other women. That's
right. But in other words, that would have been something, and they would have protected. But because it's a woman, because it's quote just a kiss, it's somehow okay. But it's not, because it really does make you feel like shit. Like my body and my daughter's body are not. They're public domain. That's what it feels like, and that's a shitty feeling. So,
I mean, I know in Latin culture, there's much more machismo in it.
This was an old silver-haired white
No, but I'm
dude.
saying I'm coming from like maybe like I know I remember when I first went to like Miami and stuff. The catcalling is insane, like out of control. Was some of these like, or like even in like Mexico and stuff, just like the amount of like just more like lewd and like things that guys would like say to you or call you out and stuff. And then eventually I was like, I mean, someone was just like, yeah, that's, or the Dominican Republic. I remember, oh my God, like out of control and just so like lack of respect for women, like vile, really nasty, like gross shit. So like, and I remember my friends being like, oh no, that's just Dominicans. Like they're just like that. Like, okay,
we excuse it and we have to stop because this is why then bigger stuff happens. And anyway,
right.
So.
I mean, yes and no. Cultural differences exist across all of humanity. Always have, always will. It's unfortunate, but that's just.
And yet what seems to be fairly universal is disrespect for women and for our autonomy and for our right to our bodies to absolutely not be touched without consent, period. And again, we've accepted this too. We will then apologize or we'll whatever, try and make amends, or we'll try to be social. We'll accept shit we don't want. And that's just bullshit.
But like, there's also this situation I think is very clear. The situation with perhaps my friend was inappropriate at the time, but I can look back and think like, okay, like if this continued to happen, it would be an issue. And if he continued to like make advances, but he's totally backed off, like completely gotten the friend thing. And like, I can sit there and look back and say like, okay, like, maybe I was flirty and I shouldn't, right? I shouldn't make excuses. But at the same time, like there are certain behaviors where you're like,
well,
fine,
I'm going to take both sides of the coin here. One, you didn't need to apologize.
Right.
Because you don't have feelings for him the way
and
he has
said
feelings
the
for you.
same thing. He was like, "You don't need to apologize to me."
That's the thing. Is that you don't need to apologize.
And you're so tough usually.
He's got a relationship with you.
Right.
He has feelings for you. So he thought, you know what? We've been having fun. I'm going to shoot my shot. Right. That's one thing. Like I said, if
I think maybe
you and I
are that person, hey, can I kiss you?
Exactly.
And you're like, fine.
Exactly.
That's probably how you do it. You don't just straight out.
Right.
And like the friend I was talking to about this, she was like, oh my God, yeah, that's like the worst type of situation. I'm like what? Like, just ask. Be like, hey, I really want to kiss you. Like, it's kind of hot. Like, you can say no. You can say yes.
Right.
Like,
that's what we need to teach people, because it's just not okay for women to think that, okay, we can't be safe with people we consider friends or that we know them. We should be able to feel.
But it wasn't
safe.
even a safety thing. She did the right thing. She stopped it. She stood up for herself.
But it is safety, because that's like saying if you get punched but you don't actually get really hurt, that it's okay. But it doesn't feel good. It really doesn't feel good to have somebody force themselves on you when you don't want to be kissing them. Mm-hmm. You don't want to be touching them. Like this guy, I'm still got the skeevies like on my hand. I had some fucking stranger kiss my hand. That's disgusting. Why
But
the hell
again,
did I have to do that?
That's why I'm saying there are different shades to different situations. Your situation, like I said, was black and white.
Right.
Her situation was somebody who she has a relationship with, a prior relationship with, took a shot of, I want to extend our relationship to another level, and she put an end to it. That is the right thing to do because she wasn't feeling it. There's no need for her to apologize. There was no need for, there's no need to demonize and blast this dude.
Yeah.
No. No. But there is reason to teach them. Don't just shoot your shot politely, respectfully, which is ask for consent. It is not okay.
If I were to blindly go and survey 1,000 women, nobody ever gets to find out what their responses are. I guarantee you at least half are going to go, God, why would a guy ask if he can kiss me if we've already been down a little bit of this road?
So I understand, Aaron. This is why I'm saying that we have all been, we've been raised to do different things. It's just not good. It's not actually the way it should be because it causes situations that are not good. It's like, okay, you go to your friend's house and you just walk in the door. You've been there a zillion times. You walk in the door. But you know what? Sometimes they might have a guest and you walk in and they're busy, they're naked and whatever.
So you lock your door.
So, okay. So maybe you just learn, hey, I can go in, but first I knock first, right? Okay. Big deal. And so there are basic things. And this idea that we are teaching people to kiss without consent is not okay. And I understand that asking consent, I understand that we need work trying to find ways that make it a little bit more sexy and stuff. Because as Tina said, there are ways that it can be a turn on to be asked. It can be, hey.
But again, that depends on your personality.
Well, okay, but your personality shouldn't be, well, I'm going to kiss them first and make them have to say no if they don't want it. Or like after their lips and their germs and their slobber are on somebody else's face. It's just not okay. I don't think.
Would a guy ever this man disgusting? Like he's fine, and he's a good-looking dude. Just like not for me. And actually, funnily enough, one of the reasons is he is older. Like he's like early 40s, and stuff like that. And we know each other through like the poker world and stuff. So like, but like I'd say, like just too old for me, too like, whatever. And like I was just like, well, like Aaron, should somebody just feel free to take a drink from your beer? Should they just
if I have a relationship with them?
Yeah, you've talked with them for 20 minutes at a bar and they're a stranger. Like, you think it's okay for them just to take your beer and take a sip without asking you?
There's context to everything. That's why I'm saying is not every situation is black and white. There are shades of gray to every single human interaction.
I totally agree. I'm just saying that we are not giving women the respect of their bodies.
You're trying to make every single situation the same black and white situation. Not every situation is the same black and white situation. Like I said, there are shades of gray to every single human interaction, and not one human interaction is the same across every spectrum, ever the end, period.
That I totally agree with you there.
There are certain things like workplace harassment and stuff is, that's another big one. Like, where do women draw this line of like, what is it? Because there have certainly been situations, especially when I used to work in politics, where like it was just so overtly like, and I will say this. The candidate who was accused of doing this in Nevada, where he fucking ran for governor of Nevada, and like, he lost, but like is known, and like in whatever the political circles are, to just be a fucking creep. Like there were like adages about this dude, and like intern, like just like all this crazy shit. I remember, and I remember being back there a couple months, and I was like shocked that this dude was like running for governor.
Right. That's what I mean.
I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like,
right. Because we minimize it and we just expect that really, I mean, this is why this told me too. We are so uncertain about where the line is for what is inappropriate touching and forcible on a woman and stuff. And it is offensive. It is damaging, and women, we have put up with it in the interest of trying to be nice or whatever and shit. and frankly in workplaces, because we need to put up with it, because you can't go anywhere and actually be safe from this shit. And so we're stuck. If we aren't willing to put up with it, then we're going to be ostracized. And that's fucking ridiculous. And I guess that's kind of why I'm old enough now. I don't freaking care. And we have to start talking about it, because this is just not cool. And again, I know that most of y'all with us and listening and watching and stuff, I know most of you, a lot of you are men, and you're not going to quite understand it, but I want you to imagine sitting next to your daughter, your sister, your friend, your niece, anything, and watching this happen to them, and just then watching the guy just walk away and have a great evening and be welcome at that resort over and over again. And
But
it's
again,
despicable.
that's the difference in, and this isn't taking a personal shot at you, but if you're not going to be, you're the only person you can count on in this entire world to stand up and defend you. The only person at all times. Period. The end. And I get it. Family, friends. I know I've got people who will have my back no matter what. But when I'm walking down, if I'm walking through Brooklyn this weekend, and I'm walking down a street by myself, there is no one I can depend on to defend me other than me. And that goes for every single situation. And yes, you were in a group of friends, and I would say the fact that nobody stood up and nobody took the lead, and nobody, which is very, very weird to me, that because every single group, male, female, whatever, always there is an alpha that stands out. That's just the way and it's just social circles. It can be for a 30-minute dinner.
Right. That was probably me, right? I stood up and just yelled at this asshole.
Then you weren't enough of the alpha in the group from the very first interaction to go, okay, I'm the one who stands up, because guess what?
You're right.
Just like the water buffaloes, there's one alpha male, alpha female water buffalo who's going to be the first to stand up and try to protect the pride or protect the pack or whatever. And that goes to, if your alpha is, if the alpha in your group of friends that you're sitting there for, and like I said, this could be for a 20-minute meeting. This could be for coffee. If there's 6 people there is a hierarchy. And if the number one at the top doesn't know that they're the number one, they're the alpha, that it falls on them, then there needs to be a reorganization of that hierarchy until you get someone who is actually going to be aggressive and be the defender.
Right. But then there also becomes, okay, so then when you have the alpha, what the hell do you do? And I guess, so the point is we need to stop tolerating any unwanted touches, period, especially when there are other people around and stuff to protect us, and just realize that, no, we should be entitled to sovereignty of our body, period.
100%.
And then, yeah, okay. And then I fucking wish I'd punched the guy even 5 minutes later. or 3 minutes later,
See,
2 minutes later.
There's a window of opportunity.
Right.
You can't miss your window of opportunity.
Fucking ridiculous. So anyway, all right. Well, thank you. I needed to get that off my chest, because it is not cool. And again, I don't think we should be continuing this for future generations. It is not good. It's not healthy. It's not appropriate. So anyway, all right. Well, sorry for being sort of a downer, but thank you all so much. Please talk to the people around you. Encourage the women to not tolerate things, do self-defense lessons and whatever. And women, don't be afraid to speak up. And sure as hell, you don't need to apologize when somebody else touches you and you didn't ask for it. So
just everybody in the world, male, female, whatever, don't be a creep. Don't be
right.
Again,
but creeps are creeps. Like, that's the thing. So they just are, and it's not. We're not going to change them. So it's what we do about it.
But don't be a creep. And if you're in a circle of friends and you notice one person's being a creep, don't call them out publicly. You need to, if they're your friend, you need to be able to call them out and be like, hey, by the way, you got to pump the brakes on that. You've got to stop being the way. You've got to reassess how you interact with other humans.
Yes.
And it hurts people's feelings, but that's the only way people learn. Pain is the best way humankind learns forever.
Sadly. All right.
Sadly, it's the best way of learning.
Right. No, it's sad that it takes pain to learn, but
that's the way. That's just
I agree.
The way,
that's the way it is. So anyway,
you touch the stove when you're a kid. Do you touch the stove again when you're 40?
Right.
No.
No, I know.
There you go.
All right. All right. Well, thank y'all. I really do appreciate the chance to vent. And certainly if you've got stories or experiences, please feel free to share them. You can send them to us. And thank you for joining us for Come With Us podcast, where you get the bare naked truth about love, sex, and relationships. And of course, you can follow us and get more sexy fun, more tips and tricks, following us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Just don't wait. Follow us now. We can't wait to see you online.
And if you've been through this, ladies, and you need a place to vent, even if you think, oh well, it doesn't matter, it's past, it's in the past, you just want somebody to vent to, email us. Emails at the bottom. comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. Guys, if you need advice on, I don't know if I'm being a creep, or I have a friend who is, and I don't know, or anything like that, just email whatever's on your mind. It doesn't have to be about this episode. It can be about any episode. It can be an episode you want us to tackle. Is there something you really, really want us to go and address? Is there something you want us to revamp or go look back on, something we've done before? Just email us. comewithusconfessions@gmail.com.
Terrific. All right, Aaron, Tina, and I are glad to be on this sexy journey with you, and thank y'all for being here for us. We know sexy stuff matters. We're glad that you're coming with us. Big hugs, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Come With Us podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at Come With Us Podcast and send in your questions, comments, and confessions to comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. Until next time, keep it fun, flirty, and naughty.